Well, good morning, everyone. We're down to the final four. Thank you for coming this morning. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Ari Menasse, and I am a senior here at the George Washington University. And today, I will be presenting my company, Karmen Cows. So, first of all, I'd like to hope that anybody new here, they're not vegetarians. Now, I'd like to begin with my inspiration behind the idea. My father, I'm half Turkish and half American, and my father and I went last year in the winter to Denver, Colorado to go skiing. And while I was there, I had the most delicious slice of steak ever, and that was Angus. So I asked my father, are there any Angus cows in Turkey? Can I get this quality in Turkey? And we looked into it, and no cows in Turkey, no Angus cows in Turkey. So the first thing we did when we got back, we went to Emre Mermer, owner of Dükkan, which is one of the lead suppliers of meat to upper scale restaurants in Istanbul. And we asked him about our idea. And what he said was he actually brought Angus meat to Turkey once before, and his customers were very, very receptive. They loved it. So there is a demand for Angus. However, he said due to capital restraints, he couldn't continue doing it. But, he said, he reassured us, that if anyone were to import Angus cows, he would definitely buy from us, serve to his customers, and he said, rest assured that all upper-scale restaurants and hotels would want the same thing. So him saying that gave us the reassurance that we needed to start the business, start planning the business. And when I win this competition with the $20,000, I would like to provide the startup fees. The startup fees are $19,800, governmental paper fees, to actually be able to begin the business. So, let's begin with the need for meat. At the moment in Istanbul, there's a shortage of cattle. And by shortage of cattle, I mean we do not have economies of scale. Each farmer has a very limited supply of cows. They have 8 cows, 10 cows, 12 cows. And what we need is for people to bring over 200 cows, 300 cows, thousands of cows. We need that large economies of scale. As you see, there's a 10.3 increase only in cattle from 2002 to 2008. And our population, however, has increased from 11 to 14 million. So there's a steady supply. The supply has remained at 400,000 tons a year. And there's been a 5% increase annually in demand. And according to the Turkish Agricultural Committee, they said by the year 2013, there is going to be 163,000 of tons needed in demand for meat. And we can assume, for argument's sake, that 1 cow equals 1 ton. So we will need 163,000 tons. And at the bottom, no purebred cattle left. Turkey has Holstein cattle, and that's a really good quality cattle. However, the problem with that is they're all mixed. There's no more pure left. And when it's mixed, it's less, they're smaller in size, and they're less efficient. And what I mean by less efficient is they need to eat more, but they grow slower, and they grow less. So there is a clear correlation, according to the Nutrition Journal, that with wealth and per capita meat consumption. And in Istanbul and Turkey right now, there's been a drastic increase in GDP per capita from 3,311 in 2002 to 12,100 in 2009. And here below, I have a scatter plot. And of course, in the upper right, you can see it's GDP per capita in dollars and meat consumption in kilograms. And of course, USA, top in both GDP per capita and meat consumption. Goes hand in hand in the American culture. And Turkey is somewhere in the middle at the moment. And that's why we see there's a strong forecast. There's a potential to keep increasing and moving out towards USA. So what is the opportunity that this industry has? Well, first of all, there's only one other breeder of Angus beef that just came last year by Arif Koşar. They haven't started selling yet, but the land is suitable for breeding Angus. Second, which is I think the most important, Turkish government provides 70% low-interest loans of the initial investment. Furthermore, on top of that, it's 4% loan, but we do not have to pay back the loan until after the 5th year. And this allows us the time to increase the wealth of the company in order to be able to pay back the government. Another trend, Turkey's drastically been changing over the past decade culturally. I think we are becoming very Americanized in a sense, and to prove that, over 50 new steakhouses opened since 2004. And again, that shows another demand for meat. And of course, in the health-conscious society today, people do want to go for a healthier choice of food, and the healthier choice of meat is Angus due to the lower fat content, and it's also tastier because it's more tender. And as I had mentioned before, the land is suitable to breed the Angus. It hasn't been done before, but a lot of research has gone into this from the Turkish government, and that's why people are starting to bring Angus to Turkey. So we have 4 goals and objectives that we would like to have in Karmen. First one is to be the leading supplier of Angus to upper-scale hotels and restaurants in Istanbul. Second, we would like to import 300 female already pregnant Angus cows this year, by the end of this year. Third, 100% internal growth within the first 5 years. What I mean by 100% internal growth is that we want the number of our cattle to double within the first 5 years. And lastly, we want to create unaided awareness within the first 18 months that Karmen provides the excellent quality of meat among horecas. Horecas are hotels, restaurants, cafes, but we can drop the cafes part. And by this, what I mean is when, let's say you're in Istanbul, you're a resident in Istanbul, you go to a restaurant, you order Angus on the menu, and you're like, wow, this is really delicious. I wonder who provides this. And then somebody should be able to answer, Karmen provides this. Somewhat like certified Angus beef in America, the brand, that we want to be Karmen in Istanbul. So why is this the #1 choice of meat by breeders? By breeders, that's us. We will be breeding them. Well, first of all, they're less susceptible to health problems such as eye cancer due to their darker skin. They're predominantly black, as you can see in the picture, and that's a problem right now in Istanbul with the cows. And this, of course, translates into more live cows in the future. Second, faster rebreeding time. These cows can give 1 birth every year, whereas the Turkish cows give 1 birth between 1 and 2 years. Higher birth rates. 1 Angus cow can give birth up to 8 times. And again, when we compare this to the cows that we have right now in Istanbul, they give birth up to only 3 to 6 times. And last but not least, faster growth. These Angus cows can eat 30% less food, but grow twice as fast. They grow 1.5 kilograms per day compared to 750 grams per day. Now, I think it's important to mention my mission statement here. And our mission statement is, Karmen's mission is to supply Istanbul with the highest quality Angus beef and to ensure all customers receive equal value and superior flavor. And I really want to stress the equal part here, because that's what I think is a problem in Istanbul right now. I don't think they're consistent in the quality of meat they are providing to restaurants today. I go to a restaurant, let's say Sunset, it's one of the lead steak restaurants, and I go there one night, I order the same thing every time I go. I have my filet mignon medium cooked. One day I'll love it, I'll say it's amazing, I'm coming back here tomorrow again. Then I come back tomorrow and I hate it, it's terrible. But this isn't due to the chef. The chef is cooking it exactly the same way. The cows that they receive are not, the people, the farmers, as I said, the 8 to 10 farmers do not have the technology and are not well trained to breed these cows. So that's why there is sometimes a fluctuation in the quality of meat that's served to us. Now, before I start the competitors slide, I'd just like to say that competitors are negligible right now in Istanbul. There's so much demand, as I had mentioned, 163,000 tons that are going to be needed, that let 3, 4, 5, 10 other breeders come, there is going to be a buyer. There is definitely going to be a buyer. But for the sake of the argument, we do have this other competitor who just brought their Angus beef, and more Angus beef is on their way. Allstock Exports from Australia reported that 600 more cows have been ordered already, and that's why it's so imperative that we start this year. And of course, the secondary competitor could be the domestic cattle that we have right now, but of course, we're targeting a different market, so we're going to leave that competitor aside. Now, let's get to the fun stuff, marketing. As I had mentioned, we are targeting the higher class hotels and restaurants. And I've already in preliminary talks with hotels such as the W, the Sheraton, and the Four Seasons. and they are very interested in buying the Angus cows if we bring it to Istanbul. This is pure B2B marketing since we will not be selling the meat to the end consumer. We are just a provider of the meat to the hotel, and they will be providing it to the consumer. And we will be using a price skimming approach. Since this is a superior quality meat, for prestige, we are going to be charging $5 per kilogram versus $4.5 per kilogram. And again, they would be willing to pay more, they said. Dükkan Emre Mermer said they would be willing to pay more. But just to be on the conservative safe side, we'd like to stay at $5 per kilogram. So a strategic alliance is one option I thought we would take with Istanbul Doors. Istanbul Doors owns 10 of the best restaurant venues in Istanbul. Trendiest, really good, and each menu on their item is very, very good quality. Customers expect this certain quality, and that's why I think by adding this Angus steak to their menu item would be a great way to promote the quality in the restaurants. Now, furthermore, with the Istanbul Doors group, they have an Istanbul Doors Mix magazine that goes out to 13,000, that's distributed to 13,000 A-list clients, which is our target market as well, every quarter. And they have issues already such as the health issue, the bar issue, fish issue, hotel issue, but they have not come up with a steak issue. And now, as we can see with the new trend, I think it would be a great opportunity to promote a steak issue. And inside, we would have an advertorial of Karmen brought the cows and show them the quality and the benefits and just inform the public that we have arrived. Second, I think we need to create a website to really connect with the consumers and market our brand name, Karmen. On this website, we would provide, of course, all the information on Angus, their benefits, where they came from, and a whole overview of Angus beef, the cattle. And I would like to put an Angus locator on there, so people, fans of Angus meat, if they want to see which restaurant, which hotel serves that meat, they could go to our website and see where they could go to get a great piece of steak. And last, I thought a blog. Everyone does blogging now. And I think it would make it more interactive and connect with the consumers so they could write their thoughts, their wants, their desires, suggestions. And if there are any good suggestions, we could actually incorporate that into our plan in the future. Very important, word of mouth. I think that's a key selling point. And we would have a taste test with Şenay Düdek. Şenay Düdek is one of the most influential food critiques in Istanbul. And she has a column in the newspapers. And she's so influential that people actually go and try when she writes a column about a new product. And second, we would have an interview with Mehmet Gürs, and I've already talked to Mehmet Gürs. He's my neighbor. And he owns the best restaurant in Istanbul, Mikla. And he's also appeared in Where in the World is Matt Lauer. So he has a very celebrity-like status in Istanbul, sort of like the Anthony Bourdain of America. And people trust him, and people know of him. So it would be great to use him, and he could write an article about why we need meat in Istanbul now, why there's a need for superior meat in Istanbul right now. And of course, these two testimonials would go on our website as well to give consumers more confidence that we are going to succeed. Let's start with the year one. Our initial investment is $1,700,000. And the biggest three components of this is one, the purchase of the cows, the 300 cows, which is going to be $900,000. Two, the infrastructure, which is $400,000. And three, the transporting of the cows, which is $120,000. The government will subsidize both the initial purchase of the cows and the transportation, and our only out-of-pocket expense would be the farm and the infrastructure of $400,000. Once we get the approval from the government, three things will happen during the first year. One, we will go and select a suitable farm and an infrastructure. Two, we will have to pick a staff selection of 3 people and train them with our cattle consultant, Hasan Ari. And 3, of course, we need to put in the order through Allstock to actually have the cows imported. So as you can see, the cows will be coming from Australia and they will be going to Turkey. As I said, we are going to have 300 female cows. The reason we want to ship them with a plane, and by the way, they will fit on one 747 plane, all 300 cows. It's hard to imagine, but one plane is enough. And the reason we want to ship them with a plane is two reasons. It's faster, so we can start faster. And they're less susceptible to health problems on the way. If they were shipped, it takes a couple months, and there could be all sorts of health problems. It's known to have health problems on the way over on seas. So that's why we want to ship them via plane. So there's a very, very high internal growth in the business. We only need to buy 300 cows, and as you can see from the graph, within 7 years, those 300 cows, assuming everything goes according to plan, will become 1,665 cows, a 451% increase. Now, the newborn cows will be artificially inseminated. And as I said before, the initial cows can give birth up to 8 times. Then the newborns, once they grow in a year, they will give birth up to 8 times. And we will always sell the male cattle. Every time they grow within a year, sell. Boom, they're gone. So it's a very fast turnover. And due to my own greed and wanting to make a little bit more income, I propose that we sell 50 female cows as well on top of that. So once the female cows grow, we're going to sell 50 of the female cows. So that's why there could have potentially been much more growth, but we want some more net earnings, and so we have more cash flow. So the cattle sales, as I said, the buying price for each cattle is $3,000, and at $5 per kilogram, when they reach 800 kilograms, we will sell them at $4,000. The first 2 years, we don't sell them. They're coming, they're pregnant, they need to give birth, they need to grow. But then, starting year 2, we start selling them at 200 and 200. And then you can see sort of an exponential growth after that. And that's the reason, because once the newborn babies are born and grow, they will also start giving birth to newborn babies. And those newborn babies, those cows will give birth to newborn babies, and they'll start giving birth. So it's a whole big growth process. So let's talk about our management team. First and foremost, our CEO, who is my father and also a GW alumni. We think that he would be great for all the executive decisions that need to be made within the company. He owns a company since 1960, Karmen Leather. He's in the garments industry. And he's managed over 150 employees and has won awards within Europe for exemplary work in quality and consistency. And for that reason, we think he would be good for a managerial position to oversee all the processes. 2, Hassan Ari. He's our key to the whole process. He's our cattle consultant. And he will be there from the beginning to the end, and he will help us pick the farm, train the people. He will be taking care of the food, the care, everything he will be taking care of. He has a staff, but he will be the head of the consultant. He has a bachelor's in Turkey in veterinary studies, and he's had over 15 years experience in stock breeding. And last but not least, myself. I will be in charge of sales and marketing. I've already, as you've seen, been in preliminary talks with some potential customers, and my job is to maintain and create excellent client relationships. This is my income statement. It's a consolidated income statement. And as you can see, the first 2 years, there's no revenue. But starting from year 3, a revenue stream starts increasing. This outlier here, $416,000, is because of that initial $400,000 cost to get the farm and infrastructure. And by year 4, our out-of-pocket expenses will break even, and there will be a continuation in net earnings. We have to go a bit quicker now. Okay, this is an important slide. Looking into the future, I see 2 options. 1, we could liquidate at the end of 7 years, because we never wanted to do this as a big growth industry. We wanted to start this and then sell it at the end of 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. And at the end of 7 years, without calculating the future value of each cow, selling them at the retail price right then and there, we would have $6,820,000. A great return on equity. 2, this is brought up yesterday. To ensure the quality and consistency that the hotels and restaurants have, we would subcontract a butcher, so we'd always go through the same butcher so he knows how to cut, and it's always consistent. And then we could charge a higher price at $8 per kilogram. 3, the manure. What are we going to do with the manure? That could be a separate business. 300 cows per day produces $1,200, and that's over $300,000 in the future. So at the end, failure is not an option. We will succeed if we do this right. There's a huge demand for Angus. There's a huge demand for me. Please read. Sorry. Thank you very much. So now will be questions.
Ari, very good presentation.
Thank you.
Very good concept.
Thank you.
I do have a question.
Sure.
How will you, and I understand there's one competitor, there would be one competitor against you. How would you differentiate yourself from him?
Well, I think I'm trying to bring a trendier look to this Angus beef. I'm not sure if I could only show you a picture of the people who brought the Angus beef. They're like old. But I think by creating these, by creating these strategic alliances with these upcoming very trendy restaurants like the W and these venues I showed, I think by targeting them particularly, I'll be differentiating myself from everyone else. And by doing this website and creating this interactive service and really going out there, because beef suppliers in Istanbul don't market, because it's not necessary. There's a demand. They just sell. They say, okay, I brought the cows. Okay, buy this. They immediately sell. But by marketing and actually branding the name Karmen, people will want to associate with us. People will want to buy from us, especially after the interviews with Mehmet Gürs and Şenay Düdek. They will find it, they will say, oh, we have Karmen cows at our restaurant. And that's the way we want to differentiate ourselves. Can you go back, please? Okay, just stay there.
I have a question more practical. Actually,
Of course.
I've been a rancher in Texas
Excellent.
with cows, so I'm more at the lower levels here. How many acres are you anticipating per cow? Are they grazing or are you feeding?
That's so good, because I just talked to our consultant this morning, and I asked him that exact same question. And there's a formula. It's half an acre per cow, but we're not doing that, because then we would need more than 300 acres, and there's not that kind of land available in Istanbul right now. But they are, and this is in worldwide right now standards, they are going to be bred in Istanbul. One of the previous pictures was a picture with a corridor, and they're all going to be bred inside. And when we take out the manure and everything like that, they're going to have land outside, of course. But we're not going to have 300 acres. They're going to be fed and bred inside, indoors. There's going to be a place to feed them, and there's going to be a whole, it's being done now by throughout the world.
Well, it must be, we estimate 50 acres in Texas per cow. That's
50
what I was
acres.
a little bit wondering how much land you're going to buy as you brought this up. So you're going to be mostly feeding them? Or,
Yes.
because you're not grazing them.
No, not as much, no.
If you're trying to get a kilo and a half a day, is that
Yes.
what you said? Yeah, that's not going to...
It's indoor.
Not a half
It's an
acre.
indoor operation. It turned out to be an indoor
That's an
operation.
eating machine.
Yes, exactly. We need them to eat, grow.
Ari, how
Yeah.
do you ensure that the hotels and restaurants will buy from you long term?
Well, at the moment, there's no contractual agreement. There is a contractual agreement, but it's very, very short term with these hotels and restaurants. It can range from 1 week to a month. It usually doesn't go over a month. And so there's no long-term agreement. But as I said before, these hotels always prefer our higher quality meat. So I am very confident that our meat will sell to them. And yeah, that's my guarantee.
Yeah, my question is, along the marketing lines, you're going to spend a lot of effort branding Karmen. What are you going to do about counterfeits? I mean, can you see maybe not the first-class tier hotels, but other hotels saying, oh, we have Angus, we have Karmen Angus. Are you going to have to enforce your branding as you go along?
I mean, I guess we would have a copyright or patent it and like. But how to enforce that? We haven't foreseen that. No, I haven't thought about that. I don't think other people in Turkey at the moment would steal the brand name Karmen and say their own cows are Karmen. They all have their own brand. When they bring it, they have to go through the government. We have paperwork. We have to.
I'm just saying, as you develop your brand, it will become more valuable.
Well, by the end of 7 years. By the end of as you said, you're correct completely. But as I said, I'm not looking to do this in the long term. We want to sell within the first 7 to 10 years. So within that time, there's not going to be enough Angus that comes, and I don't think there's going to be any infringement or anybody saying, oh, we have Karmen, when it's not really Karmen. But I can look into that more, and that's a good point. Thank you.
Can you talk to me about the financing, how you would secure the 1.7 million?
Sure. As I said before, the government provides a big chunk of it. And at the moment, my father would be financing the $400,000 out-of-pocket expense. We have a great credit line due to my father's business. All the banks know the business, the company, my father, Karmen Leather. So for that reason, there is no barrier to the financing.
Two quick suggestions.
Sure.
Try to get an LOI from your vendors, from the hotels.
What, sorry?
A letter of intention.
Okay.
So when you go to the investment community,
Mm-hmm.
you can say, here's what their intent is. And then the other comment or question is a little bit more related to clarification on the financing. If your dad is going to invest 400 million,
400,000.
400,000, and the rest is going to be financed by the government, what do you need?
Exactly. That's a good point. That's why investors that are interested in this business, as you saw, we have 300 cows at the moment. That doesn't mean we have to start with 300 cows. We can start with 600. We can start with 1,000. The bigger, the better. We can only finance enough to start with 300. But if there are investors that are willing to invest in this, we can start bigger, and of course the growth and the income and the return would be much greater. So that is, I think, the answer to your question. Any other questions? Guess not. Thank you so much, everyone, today.